time. This is so good. I'm so glad to have it like this. Hey, you guys, I'm on my way back on the air. Did you see that kerfluffle that we had on the last segment? Oh my goodness. As soon as we started the video, the whole situation just collapsed. But you know, we had to push on through and hold our microphone. But sometimes I was in the frame. So right now, back on the air.
It's 10 in the morning. And
yes, I'll hear that. Here we go.
Here is the top tea on It's Debatable with attorney Naya Zabor on 95.
Be ready to cue up the sound.
Right now?
Yeah. Because I'm going to say a couple of words first. Y'all like that? Hey, everybody. Okay, so we're back, and I could not wait to dive into this political top tea. You already know the topic that's burning on everybody's lips is soon-to-be former Guo Andrew Cuomo. I guess, you know what? First of all, let me tell you something. I always liked Governor Cuomo. I'm not going to lie. When he was talking during the pandemic, I felt like he was America's pandemic governor. You know, our governor wasn't doing a whole bunch down here in Texas, but complaining, saying COVID wasn't real. But, you know, and then it comes to find out when the news is released about everything that he did, it seems like he wasn't telling us how many people were dying in the nursing homes. We weren't getting the accurate information about the coronavirus and how vastly it had spread throughout New York. People in New York were not happy. And then it comes out that he's been Mr. Gropey, touchy, feely on everybody. We can't have that. And then I thought, oh my goodness, is he going to be the kind of guy that simply won't leave his office? Will he be forced out? Will he be asked to leave? Will the Democrats in power, will they be the ones to force him out? Or is he going to be like, look, I'm going to gangster my way into staying into this seat. I wish you would try to move me out of the seat. I kind of felt like he was going to go from that bully direction because he looks so macho. Like he's always giving me super macho machismo every time I see him on television. And I'm sorry, that's not the macho that I was hoping for when he gave his apology. That's the problem. That's why I'm going to segue into, let's talk about Andrew Cuomo's resignation apology. We have sound for that. So I'm going to play it for you, and then I'm going to be a little judgy-wudgy on it. And then I'm going to tell you what the media at large was judging Governor Cuomo by. Okay, let's hear the sound.
Heard from Rita Glavin, have reviewed the report over the past several days and have already raised serious issues and flaws that should concern all New Yorkers. Because when there is a bias or a lack of fairness in the justice system, it is a concern for everyone, not just those immediately affected. The most serious allegations made against me had no...
Okay. I decided to listen to that part for the first time this morning for like a third time. Like, let me repeat it and see what I thought about it. Because all weekend long, or I guess for the last few days, the media has been saying, oh, this is horrible. This is not the way you fall on your sword. He's so arrogant, blah, blah, blah. I mean, I could see where they're coming in like that. But let's just take it how it should be listened to. This is a man that, number one, is saying, look, I'm a product of an environment where gropey, grabby, grab was okay. The women accepted it. Human resources didn't fire anybody from it. And all of the bosses were doing it. And all of the bosses were men. Maybe that's the way it was back then. And then you transition to now. And before I jump on, you know, exactly what he was saying, I always try to come from a position of taking the person from their environment. How old is Governor Cuomo? Is he like a septuagenarian? Octogenarian, I'm not sure. I don't know how old he is, but let's just say he's in his 60s or his 70s. Well, they were of a different era. And back then, y'all saw that show. He's how old?
63.
He's 63 years old. A 63-year-old man who has been in the workforce in 1970 or 1980. Y'all remember 9 to 5 with Dolly Parton out there? How the boss was all gropey and all the secretaries had to do a revolt because he was grabbing on them too much. You know, you're probably not old enough to remember that. But Dolly Parton said, working 9 to 5, what a way to make a living. And then the boss is all grabbing on me. They had to have him confined in his home just to say, you're not going to continue doing that. Well, that's the era that Governor Cuomo grew up in. The problem is this. He was the good governor of the state of New York and always touting this Me Too movement like he never had anything to worry about. It was his state where a lot of people were at odds about, you know, certain people having to step down and demanding resignations. But come to find out, the people in his office were being groped by him. I do believe there is a little bit of arrogance in there, but he doesn't think he did anything wrong. I kind of thought it was going to be a little bit of news fodder if he just decided to stay stay in his post. But the first indicator that it was all crumbling down was when his top aide, Melissa DeRosa, decided to step down after being seen sneaking into the governor's mansion days before that with him. And I felt like maybe she was just getting her stuff out of the mansion, knowing that it was all is that when you have to have a boss that is going down in flames, he can be either one or two bosses. He can be like the former President Trump, whose ship was going down in flames, and everybody was watching it. Some people were like, no, it's not going down in flames. You're still the president. There's some people out there like the pillow guy who still believes that Donald Trump's, was wrongfully put out of office and that Biden is not the real president. He also believes that COVID is not real while people are dying around him. The DeSantis crew. But we have to always understand we take people where they find them. And even with, everything that's going on with Governor Cuomo, I guess people are now trying to focus on his brother, Chris Cuomo. And because he is a CNN news guy, did he violate any ethical duties to the news public at large by failing to question his brother on his questionable actions when he stood accused by the state attorney general about his behavior against women who were working for him in past and also currently working for him? So Chris Cuomo, I love Chris. He has a habit of calling you to the carpet on every topic, no matter who it is. And I like that about him. But when his brother was being the coronavirus czar and standing up for New York, he got special attention. And every time CNN needed an interview, they were able to get the governor of New York. Now, that didn't make the mayor de Blasio feel very good about that because he wanted his time on television to shine too. And what is he? The first one at the marching line saying, get rid of the governor. Well, that just makes a way for other people to run. Because guess what? Now people are saying we have a woman governor for the first time in New York's history. Doesn't matter how she got there. There's a woman in power. It's the same way the setup was there for just in case anything happens to President Biden, that Kamala will be the one to fill the president's shoes. There will be a woman to step in. I wonder in this last bit of her term of office where she's stepping into someone's sexual harassment allegation shoes with a city that's now going through its second wave of the COVID-19 Delta virus pandemic, where New York public schools are now going back in session and superintendents in the state of New York are all going bonkers about what's going to happen with the mask or no mask because they're going bonkers out there in Florida. She's a governor that is stepping in the hot seat. So I'm really cheering her on. I want her to do well. And I want to see what it looks like when there's a woman at the top. The other women probably don't have to worry about any gropey grope. They can actually work from a position of professional atmosphere in the office instead of worrying about how to keep Mr. hands off of their booties. Okay. Now we're going to move on to a little bit of social injustice top T. Now this kind of crosses over with political and social. Now, it's a social injustice when the state of Florida's governor decides to cut school district salaries for the districts that don't follow his new law saying you must not have a mask order in your school district. Now, there were some fights breaking out after the school board meeting last night in Broward County in Florida, which is one of the largest school districts out there, from the anti-maskers. It's really entertaining when you see people that are fighting for their right not to wear a mask. They want to encroach upon the rights of other people who do want to wear a mask because they're saying their children are being mask shamed if they're being asked to wear a mask and they're not wearing one if they have the luxury. So it doesn't matter that these anti-maskers are out there saying, I don't want my child to have any resistance to any possible COVID-19 or Delta virus. I just want them to rely on their good immune system and that it's just going to be all that they need. I don't want your kid sneezing on my kid. I just got to be honest. My kid's about to start the 7th grade in the public school system out here in Texas. We really don't care in our household what our governor thinks. We're trying to follow science in the Moore household. You know, I went to school. I know to listen to scientists who also went to school, who are trying to educate the masses. And sometimes it takes, if they're not listening to scientists, they trying to berate Dr. Fauci about masking up. They're always trying to say the CDC doesn't have a written proposition saying that masks should be mandated. And then you have those governors out there that might be trying to run for president, like DeSantis out there in Florida, who wants to make sure he takes the money away from the districts who are trying to fund the district to help the kids if you want to wear a mask. So he's trying to penalize the elected officials in certain school districts. I'd like to see them try to do that down here in Texas. I don't know what would happen. Well, my daughter said she's going to wear a mask, but she's also been vaccinated. So she's got double protection. I would not start my kid in the school system without having the measles, mumps, and rubella vaccine, which is the vaccine they got when they're small, or the DTaP, the diphtheria vaccine. If you want to protect your kid from the chicken pox, and you want them to be safe, you don't want them to get the splotchy splotches. I had the chicken pox. It's horrible. It feels terrible. And my sister popped one, and then it became a permanent stain on my body. I didn't get a chance to have the chicken pox vaccine. But guess what? I don't ever want that again. And my parents made the decision after that. You will have every vaccine that comes out there. So I don't understand why people say we don't know what's in it. And I know people don't want to get vaccinated. Here's what I have to say to you. For you trying to say that you don't know what's in the vaccine. Well, do you know what is in the measles, mumps, and rubella vaccine? Can somebody please give me a list of the ingredients? How much percentage of each portion of whatever that scientific name that has 12 letters to it, whatever that ingredient is, please let me know what's in it so I can let you know if you're using too much. Okay, because if I don't know what's in the measles, mumps, and rubella vaccine, why do I care what's in the COVID vaccine? I've seen those people on ventilators. I prefer to breathe on my own. Because once you get on that ventilator, I've heard it's downhill from there. And the Delta variant is causing some new nerve damage where people are getting gangrene. So, do you really want your kid to have their limbs fall apart just because you didn't want them to wear a mask? I mean, why not just pretend to be an anti-masker and just make other people just shut up about your kid? Because I feel like my kid might be the one to be like, I'm not going to be friends with so-and-so anymore if she doesn't have on a mask. And I'm not going to make my child play with your child. We're not going to have any play dates. We got everybody in my house is vaccinated except for my 4-year-old son. I did not ask the people what was in the vaccine. I did not really care. All I knew was that people were dying from something that they did not have to die from. And later on in my segment, I know they're telling me to wrap it up so we can go to break, but I want to say one more thing, that later on, I'm going to tell you about a man that is on a ventilator right now who had 4 of his family members die this past week. And he's on a ventilator, and he and his doctor were saying, you know, you must get vaccinated. And he said that he wished he had gotten vaccinated. So, and he was the person that did not even believe that the COVID-19 existed. Come on now. And some people are even saying that spin is out there. And I know you guys, I haven't talked a lot about it, but the disinformation campaign is going full force. There's a disinformation campaign being put out there by QAnon. Have y'all heard about that? QAnon was the main disinformation group that was leading the people to do the insurrection on January the 6th. You know, the one where last week I reported on 2 police officers had killed themselves because of the mental trauma they suffered from the January 6th insurrection. Well, guess what? Now that number is up to 4 officers. There were 2 officers there was 1 officer that killed himself after the January 6th insurrection hearings. So that's yet another. So now we've got 4 officers that have ended their lives because it was just too much to bear. But we still have Republicans at the Capitol that do not want to have an investigation as to the January 6th insurrection. They don't even want to call it an insurrection because everybody knows if it's an insurrection, that's really treasonous behavior. And we all know what the Constitution says about if you commit treason. I mean, I'm just saying, are we going old school, new school, or whatever school? Whatever floats, whoever wants to make sure that down the road it doesn't come back on them, they're the people in power right now, because it looks like the Democrats may have the numbers, but they don't have the gumption to enforce the rules. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and sign off so we can get ready for our next segment. I had to go ahead and wrap that up on my coronavirus here, and I might be coming back for the next hour too.
It's Diane's More Than Fly Esquire, and you're listening to 953 Jams, Houston's home for jams.
I always like that summertime song. You know, I just love summertime because it's the summertime. Did y'all like that? I know I'm on my soapbox about the coronavirus, but with everything crazy that's going on out there with the governors, the Republican governors specifically taking the position, and let me retract that. Not all Republican governors, because the Republican governor for the state of Alabama When the governor saw the numbers of how many people were dying in the state, they said, you know what? Forget what I said. I was wrong. Wear a mask, get the vaccine. Because people are dying at disproportionate rates. And with the, what was it, a $1.3 trillion bill that was approved by the Senate, and for what President Biden came out and gave his speech yesterday and last evening to hammer it home, you know, we really have to be aware that the people that are not getting vaccinated are the black and brown people. And the people that are at the lower socioeconomic demographic, they are fed disinformation, and we don't know where they're getting their news from. They may not have a subscription to a newspaper. They may not have access in rural areas to Wi-Fi. And so they are only following the Twitter campaigns of certain disinformation bandits, which is what I call them, that are out there like QAnon, who is now saying that the police officers that killed themselves, the 4 officers, they were not deaths by suicide, that it was a government cover-up, and that they were murdered to make it look like, I know. This is the buffoonery at every turn. But I'm going to talk about that when we come back. Let me see. Go back to my notes. Come back to this.
You're going to do a tip the scales?
What's my tip the scales segment?
The black and brown tax.
Oh, yes. Yes. I want to talk about... Oh, you know what I'm going to do first? I wanted to talk about the widow. Okay. At the end, I'll talk about the widow of the man killed by the South Dakota Attorney General killed somebody, and his widow wants his head. So we're going to go with, I need the full story of the black tax. So if y'all are listening to the music, this is Nina Simone playing Backlash Blues. Blacklash Blues.
You ready?
All right.
On 95.3 Jams. It's time for Tip the Scales, where we dive into the top social
Y'all are gonna like
injustice
this.
of the week. Let's get into it.
It's juicy. All right, everybody. Tessie, can you hear me? H2O. I love Jay-Z in the morning time. Okay. Hello, everybody, and we are back with It's Debatable with attorney Nyan Zamore, and we're in our segment called Tip the Scales. Now, this is a cross between Tip the Scales and You Just Can't Make This Stuff Up. I have to tell you, if you paid attention to the last song that was playing in the segment, it was Nina Simone's song that she wrote called Backlash Blues. And that song, if you didn't get a chance to pay attention to it, it's basically explaining the black tax. And I am going to be delving into the black tax in light of the $1 trillion bill that was passed for infrastructure bill, which I'm happy about. I'm very pleased that we have an infrastructure bill. However, we need to fix the roads and bridges, but we also need to fix our voting system. You are at a pivotal point in our history where you have a democratically elected president who, in my opinion, was put there by the number one voting demographic across all demographic lines in the United States of America, which is black women. Stacey Abrams put Joseph Biden in office for president of the United States. I believe that wholeheartedly. She got Georgia, and the rest is history. So what that means is this. If you are the democratically elected elite and you are in Congress, when we put you in office and you flip those seats, I expect you to return the favor by protecting the vote. All right. Now, I love my former president, Obama. I think he's great. I voted for him. I'm not afraid to let the people know I voted for him twice. And I attended the inauguration because I'm an Obama person, period. I got a whole bunch of T-shirts to prove it. But Obama had health care to fix for us. And Obama was worried about fixing immigration and helping the DACA people. And I appreciate that. You know, he was worried about making sure the rights were protected by the LGBTQ community. He was trying to fix our military. I appreciate that. But guess what? If you look at the vote count from President Obama in his election, he received more votes from the black and brown community and the women and the Jews and the underserved than he did from the white people and the conservatives and the people that make the most money. So the people that were the ones out there in the get out the vote campaign and knocking on doors, those are the ones that got our former President Obama elected twice. Okay. And that second time, he just wiped the carpet with John McCain. So now we have 4 years of a hiccup where voting rights bills were passed and things were reversed. Executive orders were put in place that were able to marginalize the black and brown and the poor amongst us. Now, the marginalization that I'm talking about is what I call the black tax. I wanted to make sure that my listening audience understood what I'm about and my positions and how I view the world. I'm a product of the 1970s. And growing up, you know, we were one of the first black families that was able to move into a middle-class neighborhood with a brick home. My mother was an educator. My father worked for the government. That's just the way our life was. But I remember very clearly my mom and dad having those conversations when we were driving through the all-white neighborhood down here in Texas, in Temple, Texas. Y'all probably don't even know where that is. But driving through the all-white neighborhood when they were building their house, their brick home, and they were the black family moving in with their 3 black daughters to the all-white neighborhood. And they were discussing how were the white neighbors going to feel about it. You know, the white neighbors appeared to be happy with it, but we don't really know how they felt. In our neighborhood, everybody was accepting, probably because my parents, you know, we didn't come in there. Now, mind you, my daddy was very much black woke. That's what I call it. You know, he was supporting the Black Panther and all those kinds of things, just like I do. My daddy graduated from North Carolina A&T. He served in the Air Force. My mom went to Prairie View. My dad, they met at Prairie View. So I'm all about that HBCU live and all that blackness. I am super black woke. My name is Nyanza. And let me just tell you, my name is Nyanza because I was born in 1972 when my father thought it was very important and my mother thought it was very important that I have an Afrocentric name. So there you go. So my parents moving into this all-white neighborhood back then in the 70s, it was like, whoa. So they had to pay the black tax. And I learned what the black tax was by seeing my parents move through life. And knowing that there were a couple of things that black people just can't do when they work in a professional environment. Now, if you don't agree, if you have any type of things that I may miss off this list or from what I got when I was growing up, please let me know. First, that number one, you cannot let the people at your job know where you live. If you're black or brown and you have a pretty nice crib, did you hear me? I know some of you out there that are non-black or non-brown, you may not understand this, but you cannot show the people who pay you your salary how you're living, because under the black tax, non-black people do not believe that you deserve the salary that you're getting. And number two, they usually don't believe that you know what to buy when you have that salary. And number three, they really don't want you to be making as much as or more than them. And so if you're living a lifestyle at your home life that may just be a little bit more fancy than theirs, they're going to tax your butt when you get to work on Monday. Believe me. So that's the black tax. Okay. So maybe I gave you the rundown. The black tax is when white people make you pay a price because they don't believe you deserve to be in the position that you're in, or they have a position of power over you that automatically makes them want to flex because they're a little bit bitter that you now have more equal rights. So when let's just take mortgage lending. They came out with a survey, and I want you all to know that you can get your educational background on today. The United States Census is putting out a live telecast about their findings on race and demographics and diversity in the United States of America with all of the data that they garnered from the 2020 census. It's airing at 1 p.m. Eastern time on the U.S. Census website. And since I follow them, I don't know where to tell you where to watch that. I don't know if you can stream it live on the TuneIn app on here, but I think you should all take a nice look-see or listen in. It'll be after my show. It starts as soon as my show wraps at 12 Central, 1 o'clock Eastern, where they're going to let you know how race has played into how people deal with the pandemic. The suicide rate was up amongst black and brown people during the pandemic. because of a fear of food shortages, a fear that you have job and food insecurity. So you're not in a stable environment where you're living in an environment where black and brown people were the first to be fired. And a lot of those people were in the medical service field where they were the orderlies at hospitals. They were getting stressed at work. They were in strenuous environments and they were making very low wages because we know how the people in Congress didn't want to pass that minimum wage and have people making cents on the dollar when they're the first responders and they're going back home. So imagine you have a first responder who's already a person of color who goes home only to find out that his spouse or her spouse has been fired because they were working in the restaurant industry and now they're down to one salary. So who's the first to be fired? The black folks, the brown folks. You're the first ones that's going to be going home in any situation. It's already, this data is already out there. That's the black tax. Because when you are the least amongst us, when you are the underserved community, when you are the people who were there trying to build walls to keep you out, that's the brown tax. Let me explain to you what happened that gave rise to this story. A black realtor was showing a home to a black man and his 15-year-old son, okay, and in Michigan. And what happened? Obviously, some white person in the neighborhood thought that they were, number one, trying to burglarize the empty house that was up for sale that was being shown by the black realtor. They thought the black people were trying to break in, so they called the police. The police show up, guns blazing like this is a robbery, and arrest and put handcuffs on the black daddy who was the buyer. Yes, they did up there in Michigan. The black realtor was like, hold up, I'm the realtor. Guess what? You're going to get handcuffed too. We got a call, and mind you, in this Michigan suburbs, this father of a black 15-year-old son is having to be arrested probably for the first time in his life in broad daylight in the very neighborhood he was interested in moving into. That is the black tax. That is the systemic racism that black and brown people have to endure when they're going into new neighborhoods, new jobs. Oh, and don't forget, don't drive your car. If you got a fancy vehicle, you need to just go ahead and drive your hoopty to the office, because if there's anybody at the office that sees you driving a foreign car, let's say if you got a Cadillac or a Benz or anything like that, they're probably driving a Honda or something lesser than, or something that they're like, oh, they like to drive the fancy, and you will not get a raise. You might get pipped, or you won't be invited out to certain events because they'll feel like maybe you got something better than them, and they want to always feel like they're better than you, boo. That's the black tax. Brown tax, you're wondering why they're not pushing your underwriting through in that house you're trying to close? It's because you have a Spanish surname or a black one, or they can tell your race or your gender on the application in underwriting. Have you ever seen them move the needle in underwriting or move the needle when it comes to financing? You keep on going to the banks. They'll be like, why am I having to give the results of my gynecological exam just to get a loan for $5,000. That's what's happening to people. People want to get a car loan. They need to know their whole history like it's a bond. It's not a bond. That's the black tax. That's the black and brown tax. So I hope you all out there have gotten a good purview into what I was saying. If you're a non-black person and you want to understand exactly what's going on, I'm going to give you some more of the black tax and some more examples of it and how it's been able to play out in history with this voting bill, and how now black people across the country are playing the black tax when it comes to Biden and the Democratic Party. We'll be back. Say black, my people. So you guys, I had to just go ahead and explain what you'll be getting on my show. I mean, I have to, from a voters' rights standpoint, and when I come back for the next segment, I had to kind of combine the top T with the you just can't make this stuff up. Because I would be mortified if I was with my daughter Kennedy and looking at a home in a neighborhood that I was hoping to buy, and the police come up with guns. And even though my realtor identifies herself as the realtor, the police still put the handcuffs on me and won't even listen to what she had to say, because the white officers automatically assumed that what she had to say was not worth listening to because she's black. That is the black tax. If you guys can think about anything else now, see, I have chosen not to pay the black tax when at all possible to avoid it. Now, the black tax is something where they tax you whether you're asking for it or not. So I work for myself. I wear what I like. Now today I'm trying to wear black woke sparkles to make sure I give the people in the morning, I got to give them some sparkle sunshine today, because today I'm dressed in the Black Panther sequin look. That's what I like to call it. And I got my Bo Derek blonde braids rocking with a whole bunch of stuff going on. And I have let's see, what kind of braids are these? I forgot. I'm getting my new braids in tomorrow. I'm changing up my style to go with the new style, because let's talk about hairstyles and work. And I was watching Vice News last night, and they were talking about black women and their hairstyles and how we can do braids and everything. It's like, oh, what's my next topic I'm coming up with?
Next, you're gonna talk about...
Because I'm about to go back on. Hold on, you guys. So we were talking about hairstyles, and I'm liberated. So in our black tax, when we come back onto this segment, I wanted to talk about the look. Okay, so we're paying the tax. Now this is gonna give you all a little bit of celebrity juice gossip, because that's what I like to do. Now I've already given you my spiel on Fight the Power. Yes, I'm trying to redo this lip gloss, because it's really like dark in here today. It's like an overcast. But since we brought our lights, I have to explain to you about black bodies and what. Oh, and y'all see my black woke mask. Y'all see my black girl magic mask? Yes, queen, fight the queen. Yeah, yes. So I wear this out there so everybody know how black I am.
We're talking about Brazilian butt lift.
Okay, so we're going to talk this time about plastic surgery, the Brazilian butt lift. And actually, the Brazilian butt lift needs to be called the African butt lift, baby, because they're trying to copy what the black women in Africa have been having naturally for decades. I'm sorry, centuries. I'm sorry, millennia, because we were the first people on earth. So I'm going to talk about that when we're back up on the air. We're about to put on my headphones right now. Give me the countdown. Do I have a teaser lead in?
Yes, you have 30 seconds.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about looks, and I need to put up my article about the Brazilian butt lift. What was that in my, okay, so I want to put up the TikTok sound. Do you have the TikTok sound ready for me?
Right.
So we're going to start with, okay. Now I like this girl. What's her name?
Doja Cat?
No, this girl. Is that Doja Cat right there saying about the booty?
Yes.
No.
Oh,
Helly
okay.
on my TikTok. I don't have TikTok, you guys. I believe that's the Chinese government trying to get into my private life, and I don't want them being able to track me. I don't mind Facebook and Instagram because they're regulated somewhat by the federal government in the United States of America. I can only do what the laws out here. I can't deal with the laws out there. Can y'all hear that? I'm about to go on right now. Plastic surgery. Woo!
Ready?
Cultural appropriation. Yes. All right, everybody. We are back for the next segment. And this segment, I'm still talking about the black tax. And rolling right into the black tax, we're going to talk about black cultural appropriation by non-blacks. And I'm including people of color into the non-blacks. And let me tell you why. Over the weekend, we did a lot of family things. And we have little children at the house. And so we took our children out, and hold the sound on that. We took our children out, and there were some non-black teenagers using the N-word. All right. My daughter's 12. My son is 4. I'm 40. I'll be 49 soon. And these non-black teenagers, we were at our hotel in the swimming pool area, and these non-black teenagers, they were Latino. They were using the N-word like left and right, and some of them were Middle Eastern using the N-word left and right. And my daughter said to my husband, why are they, number one, using the N-word when they're not black? Okay, so here was my husband's response. I'm going to tell you the little once over. He said, I said, baby, what did you say? He said, well, baby, let me take it. See, I wasn't sitting right there when she made that remark, because I know how I feel. I'm going to tell you how I feel. And I'm a straight up black mommy. I don't play that. I don't care what age group. I don't care if we're modern America, because I'm not modern. I'm still black. Okay. And cultural appropriation has to stop at some limitation. So my husband told my daughter, say, well, black people own the word. And people of color have been appropriating the word because they empathize and use it as a term of endearment, because they are emulating what they see black people do. And that's what he said. I said, okay, baby, that was a good way what you said. I think, oh, okay, I'll agree with that. Now, my daughter was like, oh, okay, well, I don't like it. So I've already said several times that I don't like it. Now, here's what I probably would have added to what my husband had to say. If I was over there, I would not walk across the room like crazy black mama and go over there and tell the boys to stop using the N-word. They can say whatever they want to say. But here's the thing. You have to make sure in the space that you're in, your children are secure enough to tell their non-black friends. I'm not talking about y'all people of color, because listen, black is different from people of color because black people came here on slave ships. Do you hear me out there in Radio Land? Black people were imported here against their will on slave ships and given no rights. When you immigrate here or you come here because of political asylum, you are choosing to come to the United States of America. You are automatically given protection under the rights and duties of our Constitution of the United States. And you are coming here voluntarily of your own free will and given a couple of handouts like being able to enroll in public schools and live here and buy things. Okay, so when you are black, you can use the N-word any kind of way you want to, whenever you want to other black people. And you know that that black person that you're talking to, whether or not you think it's wrong, right, or indifferent, we have taken control as a black community of the word and the sting that it used to give to black people when they were whipped by slave masters and some black people that looked like them, which were forced to whip their own on the plantations. You know, the N-word was the most derogatory term you could come up with. But here's the way I think that, you know, it would soften the blow. If you are a black woke mommy like me and you don't mind getting into an argument with teenagers, the next time you hear some non-black, let's just say the next time you hear some non-black teenagers using the N-word back and forth and dropping it to each other, maybe you should walk over to that non-black person and say, hey, how would you like it if I was like, oh yeah, that's right. Now I'm about to use an expletive. If you've got children in the room, turn this down. You need to be forewarned. I'm about to use a very, very derogatory word. Hey, what's up, Spick? How you doing? You wouldn't like that now, would you? No, you wouldn't. I don't care if they're using that in rap terms. Oh, hey, because it's the Latinos that are using it a lot. The Middle Eastern brothers that I've heard. Oh, how would you like it if somebody said, hey, what's up, my sand in? You wouldn't like that too much, especially when it's a whole bunch of black people saying it back and forth to their Latino friends. So if only they could empathize with black people and what that word means to us when we come from slaves and we were beaten. See, I don't know any immigrants or people who sought political asylum in the United States who were beaten and where the word, I'm not going to say it again, SPIC or wet bee was whipped on them while they were getting beaten. I don't know anybody like that. I don't know anybody who's endured that. I don't know any records at the Smithsonian that say that there's any indication that that ever happened. So when I hear the word being used so loosely, and I think that these people need to understand what it feels like to hear the sting, because the other black 15-year-olds, they're letting them say it, probably because they don't have the nerve to stop them because they let them start saying it and they don't want to be the only one in the group trying to protect that word. Now we're going to move on to cultural appropriation. We're moving on. They've appropriated the N-word into their own thing. Okay. Tom Hanks' son was saying the N-word in his rap lyrics. I want you all to know that. He was out there dropping the N-word because he had a whole bunch of black friends when he was trying to be a rapper. And now he was out there doing some Instagram foolery, saying he did an anti-wax lyric of some would-be rap. That's multi-millionaire, soon-to-be heir Tom Hanks and Rita Hanks, whatever, their son out there talking that mess. He's the white boy that's using the N-word because he has privilege. So let's go on to the other privilege. Now, when you're talking about looks, we're going to talk about cultural appropriation of black looks. Now, right now, when I was walking with my look yesterday at a luxurious department store, there was a white woman in the fur section at the store that I shop at all the time. And I said, well, you know what? I'm thinking about buying this coat. And for all you PETA people, guess what? I'm all for anti-killing animals, but I eat meat, so I wear fur. Moving on. So when I was out there, the white woman said, oh, you're looking very much like Bo Derek. I love your hair. Now I wanted to say, listen up here, lady. Bo Derek was a white woman who culturally appropriated a black African hairstyle. Period. Cornrows are African. It doesn't really matter if Bo Derek wore them, if Kim Kardashian West likes to wear them, if anybody likes to wear them. They're cornrows for a reason, to keep all of our thick, coarse, kinky, curly, lovely, beautiful locks moisturized in the heat and the African sun, so we can have our hair growing long like tresses. So yes. When I thought, so, should I just go ahead and tell the nice little white lady? No, this is a black hairstyle. Bo Derek's producer and director thought, you need to go get that black girl hairstyle because it would look really sexy on you. So that's what she did. And that's what the Kardashians do. And guess what? It doesn't make me mad at all, because guess what? For me, I like it when they like to borrow our looks. Now, I don't want them to die for our looks, which leads me into my next topic, the Brazilian butt lift. Now, the Brazilian butt lift is a Brazilian butt lift because the Brazilians were the one getting the surgeries for it. They were trying to copy the black women's butt. We've all known for centuries that black women have been born with a whole lot of ASS in their A square sus. We already know that. That's a little bit of pig Latin for you all out there, those septuagenarians who may be able to identify with that. But black women are the most curvaceous women on earth. You all didn't know that the original Betty Boop, with the short black curly hair, with the very pale white skin and wearing the black hair, the black outfits with the boop boopy doop. She was black. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. She was a beautiful black woman who had that same pixie cut hairstyle. Kind of the same way that Josephine Baker rocked the same hairstyle. She was black too. All black. And what'd she do? Betty Boop decided to wear the black corset with the super booty shorts that I used to love. And then they decided because she's so sexy, we're going to make her white and make her marketable. That's what they did. That's called physical and cultural appropriation, to where they wiped out all information dealing with black Betty Boop. They did it to John Wayne. John Wayne was based off of, what's that? I'm going to get into that later. But let me go to the Brazilian butt lift first, because that's the segment. We got some sound here about, I want all the white women out there and all the black women who are trying to achieve this false sense of hourglassness, where your bottom half now has you shaped like a bowling pin. You're not balanced, okay? And it looks weird. I'm a 5'10", I'm actually 5'11". My butt is small, but it does what it's supposed to do. My legs match my butt. I have great legs. I have to let my legs work for me because my butt just ain't. But I'm okay with that because I look height and weight proportion. It has become such a thing that the butts have become so Instagram famous, like the bigger the better, the juicier the better, and all that kind of stuff, and Bootylicious, with Beyonce starting back with that in the 90s, that now people are dying over. So I have some sound for you to say why you should not get the BBL, the Brazilian butt lift. It's killing you ladies out there. Listen to this.
By far. 1 in 3.
Keep playing that sound. Go back. I want you guys to hear. She said, so this is a TikTok video that we were listening to. She had the first part of the sound, but I'm going to tell you, this is, do you have the sound better this time? Okay, we're going to cue up the sound one more time. Don't you just hate when that happens? Don't you just, we want to listen to this. And this is, celebrities, Kim Kardashian, Amber Rose, Kylie Jenner, Virginia Gallardo. They allegedly had the Brazilian butt lift, which is a procedure when you have this, you can take an x-ray. And that's what the Kardashian girl did. Kim, she took an x-ray of her butt to show people that there was not an implant in there. And the doctors went on and were like, oh, let me tell you why. Let me tell you why it didn't show up on the x-ray as an implant, because that's the Brazilian butt lift, which is undetectable. So when she walks through the airport, she probably goes through the fly port because she's probably flying private everywhere she goes because she's super famous. Like Kim, if you have an extra seat on your plane, I don't care about your butt, girl. Invite me on the plane. But anyway, she's going through these without anybody being able to prove, living or deceased, even if she gets an autopsy, that she had the Brazilian butt lift. I guess only her surgeon would know. And though that is the riskiest type of surgery that you can have, women are dying from the surgery. And guess what? Your doctor is taking fat from one place in your body, putting it into your backside where the nerves and the arteries, whatever they call it, your blood vessels are larger in your behind, because they have to give you pump more fat, and you have to have more fat. When you take the fat from another place in your body and add it to that place, if you lose weight, that fat is going to lose weight and your butt's going to be like kind of slender again. So once you gain the weight to make the body fat, to have that fat cut out and to be injected into your butt or however the way they're going to get it in there, you have to then stay a fatty. So that's number one. You bet you didn't even know that, did you? Because otherwise, number one, you're not going to look height and weight proportionate. And all that fat that was all over your belly is now on your butt. So you have to keep your weight up, not on your stomach, but the other place that it's going to grow. And it's not healthy. And a lot of doctors are charging $3,000 to $5,000 to do it. And one physician came on and said, if you're not paying at least $10,000, you're probably going to end up with some type of botched surgery, end up on the television, or like this one that I saw walking through the airport the other day. Her booty was botched, ladies and gentlemen. And all I could see was, look, you did all of that to have a big old botched booty. You cannot wear clothes that they're selling in the store unless they have extra elastin. They're not making new underwear. I mean, I love Kim Kardashian. She came out with Skims because she needed an underwear that that can go between your booty cheeks. That doesn't have to cover it all because it's too big now. They're not increasing the size of the toilet lids, ladies out there that are getting these big old bottoms. You still must be able to fit in the clothes, fit in the seat at the airport. You must still be able to lace up your own shoe, sit on the toilet, and you're going to have that butt wet forever. I don't think they can take it out once they put it in. And you white women that are out there getting these Brazilian butt lifts, you need to stop. You need to just go ahead and just forget about it. You can wear the underwear with the pad in them. Or how about this? Find a man who likes you for you. And then don't die on their operating table. I'm not saying the same for breast implants. Because some people that I saw got them, they needed them. One of my friends, she already had a big old booty. She looked great. And I saw her this last weekend. I was like, oh my gosh. When she got breast implants, I saw her. I said, let me tell you something. I was so ready for you to get breast implants because it was a shame for you to have all that curvaceous bootiness and all those nice thighs and legs and everything and face on dime. And all I saw was a flat chest. And it took her 40 years to get it, but she got it. And now she's a brick house. Now she's Betty Boop. But she had help. Now I'm always for the natural because anybody that's out there on the budget, you need to save your coins. Wear a push-up bra. Okay, so if you're out there culturally appropriating black women's booties, you'll never be able to recreate natural. Stick with what you love. If you want to save yourself some money, do some lounges or go to my boy Cedric. He is the personal trainer that got my body back into shape with a whole lot of boxing, a whole lot of getting fit when I was a 45-year-old new mommy. And Cedric is how I make sure my butt stays up to the sky. Bye, y'all.
You're tuned into It's Debatable.
So I wanted to, let me hear that TikTok sound. Did y'all like that? I know. I want to talk about I just love this song. I wanted to talk about the NCAA's 4-year investigation into the Baylor sex assault cases.
We're gonna do that in here for
Oh my gosh, but I also want to talk about, okay.
You can talk about that in Here Come the Feds.
Okay, and Here Come the Feds. Okay, I'm going to stick with no, this is the crossover. Do I have 2 songs in between this?
No, you have one song because it's 5 minutes. Do you want another song?
Add 2, well, no, I don't want to go in early.
You want to change over the live stream?
Hi, okay, so I'm going to stop these live streams and restart them so my segments are shorter. I hope you all enjoyed that last segment. I'm going to come back in with a little bit more tea from that last segment and then go in the Here Come the Feds. The Here Come This Feds segment lets you know everything that's going out there. Who's getting arrested, who's being investigated, and everybody who's going to the prison camp. Okay, let me come back on after this. And in that one...